important next question that I want him to answer. Yes. No.
Just explain what does this mean, Ngoba. As much as you understand the English part, when you're putting it in number terms,
it says that there was a target between when the firearm was shot and the door. Yes, to simplify it. So, and there is a photo which depicts the damage at the door.
Sikhona futhi nesithombe lana ke esikhombisayo ukuthi umnyango lona ke wonakaliseke.
If ngikuzwa kahle mhlawumbe le target engawuzwa uthi bullet khona la ngathi mhlawumbe ngizothi ukuricochet khona before ifike lapho.
If I understand you correctly, maybe it's this target that confuses me.
You're saying the bullet ricocheted somewhere with your figure lap?
No, before the bullet hit the door, it hit the deceased. That is what this is saying.
Yes. Please, I read the affidavit.
Yes.
I'm saying it's in the lieutenant's affidavit that it actually hit, or he says surmising.
Yes.
Hello?
So, sorry, my lord.
Is he just surmising, or is he categorically stating it as a fact?
Yeah, as a fact.
As a fact?
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Ngaphambi kokuthi yoshaya ke isitapa yashaya yena ke ngokwebeka kwakho umneli yashaya umufi.
So, what I want to find out is how is it probable that the bullet would have hit the back of the door, hence the door was open after you had run out of the house?
Once again, as we objected before, issues relating to ballistic evidence can be put to the ballistic expert when he comes to testify. This witness is a layman, and we submit, my lord, that it is unfair to put questions regarding such a technical field to a layperson.
What's your view, Mr. Newman?
My lord, I just wanted this witness to comment because he says that he ran through the open door. Mangena says there is a bullet which hit the back of the door, so there is, the versions which are not consistent.
Can you comment on that, sir? About the fact that there was an intermediary disturbance of the bullet because it had struck sensor before it struck the door.
I
think he knows. I'm not going to comment on what somebody else's statement says.
I'll leave it there, my lord. Thank you.
Just for my edification, that statement of Lieutenant Mangena, sorry.
Yes.
Is it made in terms of section 212 of the criminal procedure?
Yes, it's 212.
Yeah, but that section pertinently deals with expert evidence.
Expert evidence.
Is that not
yes,
so?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes. I'll leave it there, madam.
Yes.
Thank you. What was the main reason for you to run out of the house?
Panic, clump, shock, safety,
panic, shock, safety, just a lot.
Assistance could be one of them. To look for assistance, to look for help.
Yes, you can also say that.
Did you do that? Did you do that? Did you look for assistance?
Yes, so did.
Yes, I did get it.
Did you phone for the police or the ambulance?
My police ambulance were phone never?
At the time, I was before I'm off.
At the time, I didn't call them because my phone was off.
Did you ask from the neighbors to assist you?
kwabacala yini omakhelwane ukuthi bakusize?
Angizange ngize ngibacele ngoba ngabuyela futhi ngaphakathi phuthumise uSendle esibhedlela.
I didn't ask them because I went back into the house and rushed Senzo to hospital.
If I get your evidence clear, at the time when you ran out of the house, the first intruder was still inside the house.
Uma ngikuzwa kahle ke kubufakazi bakho kathi uphuma wena ke endlini lo wokuqala umsolwa wayesengaphakathi endlini.
Yebo.
Yes.
When you ran back, that is after you jumped the wall of the neighbor, were you not in danger?
Kathi usubuyela khona ke usujomba futhi ke ubonda lolu lakomakhelwane. Wawungekho engozini yini noma ungekho engcupheni yini?
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi bengichazile ukuthi ukubuyela kwami ngaphakathi endlini ngangisengitholile confirmation from uMakakheli ukuthi akekho lo muntu wayephethe isibhamu ngaphakathi.
I think I did mention it that when I jumped back or when I went back into the house, I had already received confirmation from Kelly's mother that the suspect was not inside the house anymore.
So ngabuyela ke ngaphakathi endlini.
I then went back into the house.
Did you see the first intruder when he was moving out of the house?
Kathi ephuma ke ehamba endlini lokuqala wambona yini?
Cha, ngimbonanga.
I didn't see him.
Do you know what happened to him?
Ngabuyazi ukuthi kwenzekani ngaye?
Cha,
No.
ngas.
I don't know.
Is it correct that from your evidence, after you jumped back, you told this court that you remained in the premises of Khumalo home? You were in the vicinity. Do you confirm that?
Uma usujompeleke wabuyela khona kwaKhumalo ke angithi waba lapho noma wawuphakathi lapho egcekeni lakwaKhumalo emuva kokuthi wabuya futhi. Uthi emuva kokuthi angithi ubungale kwangcatshe ne wasujompa ubuyela khona kwaKhumalo. So nkathi usubuyeleke khona kwaKhumalo ukuthi ngaso wawulapho nje ngaso sonke isikhathi lapho kwaKhumalo egcekeni noma kusendlini noma kusegcekeni kodwa wawukwaKhumalo.
Ngicela ukuthi ngaKhumalo ngijumpele back kaKhumalo. So obviously ngaKhumalo.
I jumped back into the Khumalos, so obviously I was at the Khumalos.
So how did it happen that you don't see this first intruder getting out of the house, or did he just vanish into thin air?
Manje kwenzeka kanjani ke ukuthi ungamboni lona ke noma kwasuke nje wanyamalala nje? Kwenzeka kanjani ukuthi ungamboni uma ngabe ephuma endlini lokuqala?
Angeke ngize ngazi ke nami ukuthi kwenzeke kanjani ngoba umuntu engambona nje bengisho ukuthi Makakheli isigebengu phela egcineni isigebengu ngathi mesiphuma sizoyiveza yini ngoba sizoqasha vele sibaleke.
I wouldn't know. The person that I saw, it's Kelly's mother, and we are referring to here to a criminal or a thug. So is that person just going to show himself when it is obvious that the person is going to hide?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, my daughter. I have no further cross-examination. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, my lord. Mr. Thwala.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to understand the way in which you could assess things when the incident took place.
Ufuna nje ukulalela nokuzwa ke indlela ke abantu babona noma babuka ngayo ke isimo ke kwindawo yesigameko.
Yebo.
Yes.
For me to be able to do that, I have to ask you this question as to what is your highest standard of education.
Ukuze ngikwenzeke lokho kufanele ngiqale ngikubuza lana ke esikoleni ke.
As a coach, I know that's the style of counsel, but
Not the
for, to ask the
Is that
qualifications,
hairstyle? Is it not on the facts?
we submit, my lord, that it's not relevant. You know, the history of education in this country. I think a witness must be respected and not be allowed to answer such questions regarding the higher standard of education. We submit it's irrelevant, it's got nothing to do with the issues at stake.
Yes, let's hear. What's your response, Ms. Mshola?
My Lord, it is important to know the competency, the skills, the experience, including the qualifications, if there are any, of the witness. Not precisely that he is giving expert evidence, but in order to assess
What?
the evidence in which he testified before this court and the way in which he observed things at the time when the incident took place, because those things I will be addressing this court on the reason why his evidence should be accepted or not. So it's going to assist my address, my Lord.
So if he has a PhD, let's say, there's a PhD in mathematics of solid state physics. And if he doesn't have it, how does it affect his observational powers of observing what happens in front of him?
My Lord, I'll be addressing at that particular time to say the witness couldn't answer 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, whereas
No, that question is overruled.
as the court physicist. At the time when the incident took place, Mr. Thwala, were you working?
Alenkathi isigameko senzeka ke wawusebenza.
Ngakenza ama-promotional jobs, ngisho kanjani.
I was doing
But
promotional,
now 9 to 5 at that time, 2014.
I was doing promotional jobs, let me put it like that,
One
but
of-
not a 9 to 5 job in 2014.
For one of amalo, ngenza ngisho but now service providers between the 3 networks in South Africa.
One of the service providers between the 3 here in South Africa, but I won't name.
Okay, so you were like a consultant.
No,
No.
promotional jobs like promoter.
I was promoting.
Okay, for how long?
Isikhathi esingakanani?
Yo. I think mhlambe it was for like 2 years because in 2015 ngase ngithola a stable job at Bonitas.
For about 2 years, because in 2015 I then I got a stable job at Bonitas.
Okay. At that time, when you were doing the promotional jobs,
Yes.
you had applied for that job, is that correct?
Ngalesikhathi uthola lo umsebenzi lo owapplyela angithi.
Yeah, ngasho kanjalo.
Yes, you could say so.
Had you completed any application forms when you applied for that job?
Number application. So,
Yes, what is the relevance of all these issues? The witness's status regarding his employment or not, we submit that it's got nothing to do with the issues at hand.
No, maybe it has. But, Ms. Mshola,
Hello.
when I overruled that question, I did so because this witness is not testifying as an expert.
Yes,
Are you with me?
yes, ma'am.
Fine, go on. Let's hear you further what you want to prove.
Thank you, ma'am. Have you signed any form?
kunefomu owayisayina yini uma usu-applyela lo msebenzi lo?
Angisakhumbuli, but I think khona into esayinayo because fanele banikeze your account numbers and stuff ukuthi bezokukhokhela. So noma ngasakhumbuli kahle, it was like 11, 12 years ago lokho.
I can't remember well, but I think there is something that you need to give them because you've got to provide them with your account numbers. Although I can't remember properly, it's about 11, 12 years ago.
But what I want to find out, Mr. Thwala, from you is that at the time when the incident took place, had you signed any document before? It may be the application for ID, it may be the application for employment, it may be the application when you open a bank account wherein you give information and sign at the end.
Oh, afuna ukwazi ke ukuthi ngaphambilini kwesigameko lesi ngabe khona yini noma yiphi nje i-document noma i-document yofuna umsebenzi, i-document yokwenza isicelo somazisi, noma yini nje i-document la ekugcineni kufanele usayinde khona?
Njengoba ngisho ukuthi angikhumbuli.
As I'm saying that I can't recall.
Oh, okay. And at that time, you will know, you could differentiate between right and wrong. Am I correct?
Ngaleso sikhathi leso ke wawukwazi ke oku-wrong kanye noku-right. Ngaleso sikhathi ke kwenzeka kwesigameko.
I take it that you are no longer a child.
Angizwa kahle umbuzo.
Wawukwazi ukuthi uhlukanise phakathi koku-wrong kanye noku-right. Wawukwazi ukuhlukanisa phakathi kokubili ukuthi lokhu ku-right lokhu ku-wrong.
In other words, Mr. Thwala, you were no longer a child. I don't want to ask the age. You were no longer the child, you were an adult at that particular time. And you will be able to differentiate between right and wrong. Am I correct?
You can say so, yes.
Okay. And then the two exhibits, my lord, exhibit U1 and U2. When you sign them, you understood what it means to put your signature in a document. Am I correct?
Ngathi usayinda lezi statement eziwu2 ke lezi phambi kwakho U1 no U2 wawazi ke ukuthi usayindelani noma uthini ke uma ngabe usayinda?
Oh, you knew, my lord, just to rephrase the word. You knew
Wawazi
what we are doing when you put your signature in that document.
ukuthi ngokusayinda ukuthi wenzani.
Ngisho kanjalo phela ngangiqala ukwenza so
I would say so, but
ngichaza lokho izolo ukuthi i-statement angiqala usibhala so
I would say so, and I was doing it for the first time. I did mention it yesterday that it was my first time deposing of statements.
Yeah, but you knew what you were doing.
Kodwa wawazi ukuthi wenzani.
Okay, let's go to the first statement, my lord, exhibit U1. Paragraph 11. I'm going to read the second line, not the whole paragraph. The second paragraph, it says, the third line. He then chased me, or maybe let me just read the whole paragraph. Paragraph 11. I then went to the second suspect who was having a knife in his hand, pushed him aside, ran out of the house. He then chased me. I jumped the wall to the neighbor's house. At that time, neighbors were already outside as they heard what was happening.
Ngaya ke kumsolo wesibili owayephethe ummese esandleni ngamphushela ke eceleni ngase ngigijima noma ngibaleka ke ngiphuma endlini wase engisukela ke noma engilandela ngajompa ke ubonda lamakhelwane noma lomuzi womakhelwane ngaleso sikhathi ke omakhelwane babe ngaphandle ke njengoba bakuzwa okwakwenzeka.
Okay, I understand it is your evidence that the two intruders came inside the house with the intention to demand money and cell phone. Is that correct?
Ngizwele ke ubufakazi bakho uthi uma bengena laba babili abangena endlini ngaleli langa ke bangena bafuna imali kanye nama cell phones.
Yebo ikona bakwenza lokho.
Yes, that's what they did.
And then when you ran out of the house and being chased or being followed by the second intruder, he did not demand you any money, he did not rob you.
Uma ke usuphuma ke endlini usulandelwa ke lo wesibili ke akazange akubamba inkunzi akazange akufune lutho noma akufune imali noma akufune lutho.
Akazange ngoba ngangibaleka asengeze ngifice.
He didn't because I was running and he didn't get to me or reach me. I jumped.
Okay. When we were jumping inside the Ngach's homestead, He didn't follow you there.
akazange akulandele uma ujombela kwaNqatshe.
wajiya ngaconcrete waqhubeka wehla ngomnyango zange azajombe kodwa yena.
I turned around close to the concrete and went down the road, but he didn't jump.
So he went past you.
wadlula kumina
He went
wadlula
past.
angithi besibaleka mina ngizojika ngizokhevela kuconcrete ngizojomba naye uyakheva kancane but wangibona sengijomba useyaqhubeka uyehla.
As we were running, I then curved towards the concrete. He was also slightly curving, but he saw that I was jumping, but he then ran straight down.
But if that person had an intention to rob you, he would have caught you at the time when you were jumping inside the Nqatshe's gates or fence.
Uma kuwukuthi loyo muntu lo wayenenhloso noma enenjongo yokuthi ke akubamba inkunzi, wayezokubamba ke noma wayezokufica ke nkathi ujomba khona lapho kwaNqatshe.
Njengoba ngishilo ukuthi lo muntu wayezongibamba inkunzi or whatever lento ayengibamba yona, so mina ngokubaleka kwami ngizokwenza sure ukuthi akakufici sasingadlali phela into serious.
As I said, that this person had come to rob me, in my running, I would have made sure that he doesn't reach me or he doesn't get me. We were not playing games, it was serious.
Let's move on to paragraph 7 of the same exhibit, my Lord U1, wherein you said in paragraph 7, paragraph 7, line number 7 as well, when you said the first one had a firearm in his hand and said Thwala'S cell phone and money.
Oqala ke wayenephethe ke isibhamu esandleni sakhe waseshoka amagama wawasho cell phone nemali.
Yebo,
Yes,
ngibona lapho.
I see that.
Is that correct?
Kunjalo.
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi bengishilo ukuthi cell phone nomani into engakukhumbula futhi kodwa cell phone nomani wakusho.
I think I did mention it yesterday that the cell phone and money, yes indeed, but the swear word I said that I couldn't remember it.
Okay. And then let's move on to exhibit U2. Paragraph 4, line number 5, wherein you said he demanded money and cell phones. I can't remember what language he used. I think he was speaking in Zulu and Osoto. You said you can't remember, but here when you were testifying, you said you could remember.
Lana ke uthi ke wafuna ke imali kanye nama cell phones. Angisakhumbuli ukuthi wasebenzisa luphi ulimi. Ngicabanga ukuthi wayekhuluma isiZulu kanye nesisuthu. Lana ke uthi awukhumbuli kodwa la enkantolo ushilo uye wakhumbula.
Yebo?
Yes.
How come now you recall it?
I think I've always said in language ukuthi thina as much as kubhaliwe la, and we've always had a debate in language for which ngizange clarify izolo ukuthi ngiqonda ukuthini ngalokho.
I think I've always said it, what the language was that was used, and it was even debated at some time here in court, and yesterday I clarified what I meant by that.
Oh, you said in what language did the suspect say demand money and cell phone?
I said the person spoke in isiZulu suit, but and then I clarified ukuthi ngiqonda ukuthini mangisho kanjalo.
Ngitheke lo muntu wayekhuluma isiZulu nesisuthu, but I then clarified.
Zulu suit. Then I clarify.
Ngizatolika. Awuphinde ke qale.
I said the person was speaking in isiZulu suit. I also mentioned isiSuthu, yes, but not in the sense ukuthi umuntu bekhuluma ngesisuthu. Ngize ngachaza ukuthi isiZulu sami nesizulu somuntu wakuphi nesizulu somuntu wakuphi asifani as much as kuyisiZulu. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi nozandu uzilwazo testify la. Nisizwela isiZulu sakho ukuthi sinjani. Asifani nesami kodwa naye bekhuluma isiZulu.
I did say that it was Zulu, Sotho, but I then clarified what I meant by that. I even mention of places. Even Zandi was here. You heard how she was speaking in isiZulu, but her isiZulu is unlike mine.
Okay. Let's move on to paragraph 8 of the same exhibit U2, which reads as follows, I quote, my lord, open quote, I can't remember the color of the hoodie jacket the suspect was wearing. I can't remember that the second suspect was wearing a hat. but I don't know the color of the hat. I didn't see the second suspect properly, and I cannot describe or identify him.
Angikhumbulike ukuthi umbala we-hoodie jacket wakunjani, wayegqoke umsolo wakunjani. Ngisakhumbula-ke ukuthi umsolwa wesibili wayegqoke isigqoko, kodwa-ke angiwazi umbala waso isigqoko. Angizange ngimbone umsolwa wesibili kahle, futhi-ke angeke bekusimo sokuthi-ke ngingamkhomba.
Yeah, ngiyakubona futhi nalapho yet again ngiyacabanga ukuthi bengichazile lokho ngoba le statement ile sethe ngikhuluma ngaso sami Mr. Shapiro. Yishilo ukuthi okay, sorry.
Yes, I see that. In this statement, I did clarify it or mention that this is the statement that was written by Shapiro.
I think kwaba khona ukuphazima phakathi kwami naye into engimtshela yona nento ayibhalayo, because I've always said with suspect number 1 ngiyamkhumbula owayegqoka isigqoko, suspect number 2 uyena lo wayifake into ehood engamkhumbuli kahle engagxili kuyena.
Because as myself and Shapiro were speaking and he was writing that which I was speaking, he wasn't writing that properly down, because I've always maintained, I've always said that I am able to, I remember suspect number 1 is the one that was wearing the hat, and suspect number 2 is the one that was wearing the hoodie. But that person I cannot remember, or I can't identify him because I wasn't focusing on that person.
Okay, so the last part of this paragraph where it says, I didn't see the second suspect properly and I cannot describe or identify him, that one is correct?
Yebo.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the same exhibit, my lord, paragraph 10. Okay, let me just read the whole paragraph. It starts from paragraph 9. You see, paragraph 9, yes. If there is a contradiction between myself and other witnesses about the description of what the suspect was wearing, which hat, I can't deny it, as I was confused and everything happened very fast. You see that one?
Lana ke ukuthi noma kufundeka ngalendlela uma kuukuthi ke kukhona la awufakazi bushayisana khona ke phakathi kwami kanye nabanye ofakazi mayela nokuchaza ke ukuthi umsolwa wayegqokeni noma wayegqoke isigqoko angeke ngichaze ngeke ngikuphikiseke lokho nanjengoba ngangididekile futhi konke kwenzeka ngokusheshsha. Yes.
You were confused. You agree with that one? You agree? You were confused.
Sorry. Lithi ngiyakuzwa noma ngasakhumbuli kahle kodwa ngiyakuzwa ukuthi bhala uthini.
I'm saying I'm hearing you, although I can't remember well, but I do hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And everything happened fast.
Konke kwenzeka ngokusheshsha.
Yebo kwakwenzeka ngokusheshsha.
Yes, it happened.
In other words, you couldn't see properly when the incident took place because you were confused and everything happened fast.
Ukusho ukuthi ke uma ngathi sigameko bese senzeka okwakwenzeka ungaboni kahle ngoba ke wawujidekile futhi ke kwenzeka ngokusheshsha.
I think makwenzeka into kanje robbery okwenzakalayo, obvious izinto eziningi ezenzakalayo kuwena. Ziningi izinto ezenzakalayo, singahlala nje enkantolweni mhlawumbe manje usuku observer yonke into, akufani nje besihleli kanje enkantolweni bathi umuntu eseqhamuka nesibhamu.
Obviously, when something like that happens, a lot of things happen to you. It's unlike us being here in court now, and it's and then when somebody appears, or it's not the same as when someone appears with a firearm.
No, there is no harm if you say that. There is no harm if you say it happened fast and I was confused, or maybe others, they say they were shocked. You know, it's normal under the circumstances. You know, that's what I want to confirm from you, that you were confused and everything happened very fast.
Ngingasho ukuthi everything happened very fast.
I can say that everything happened very fast.
Do you deny or admit that you were confused?
Ukuthi ke kona ke wawudidekile noma confused ke uyaphika noma uyakuvuma.
Angeke ngize ngisho ukuthi ngiyakuphika or ngiyakuvuma.
I wouldn't say I deny nor confirm it.
Okay. And Senzo was your friend?
Kwakungani wakho Senzo?
A very close friend.
Umngani wami impela.
And you came to this court to tell the truth?
uze futhi la kwenkantolo uzokhuluma iqiniso.
njengoba nje sengiqalile kade ngiqalile futhi.
Just as I've started, and I started long ago.
Let's read the other part of paragraph 5.
10.
But it starts with, it says paragraph 6. Oh, sorry, yes, it's paragraph 10. Paragraph 10 at the beginning. The second suspect was carrying a knife, and when I was coming outside, he chased me. I jumped the wall to the neighboring house. I cannot describe the knife. You see that?
Okwesibili ke umsolo wangisukela ke wayephethe ummese futhi ke ngalenkathi ke noma ngenkathi ngibaleka ngaphandle wase ngisukela ke ngase ngijompa ke ubonda lo makhelwane angikwazi noma ngeke ngichaze ke ummese.
Is that one correct?
Yebo.
Yes.
Okay, and also it is your evidence here in court that you cannot describe the knife.
Uyasho futhi ukuthi ummese angeke uchaze.
Yebo.
Yes.
And I'm putting it to you that the reason why you cannot describe the knife, it's because there was no second suspect who was in possession of the knife.
Mina ke ngizothi uma ngikutshela ngithi imbangi noma isizathu sokuthi ungawuchazike noma ungakwazi ukuchaza ummese uyingoba wayengekho umsolo wesibini futhi wangingenammese.
Sorry, before he responds, just think about the question you've just posed. You see, you're saying there was no second suspect who carried a knife. The implication or insinuation is that there was a suspect, a second or other suspect.
Oh, sorry, my lord, can I just rephrase?
Yes, yes.
Can I just rephrase?
Yes.
You, in this statement, you were referring to the second intruder, am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And you say you cannot describe the knife in which the second intruder possessed.
Futhi ke lo mmese lona othi lo wesibili wawuphethe ukuthi ummese ongekho kusimo noma ungakwazi ukuthi ungawuchaza.
Yebo.
Yes.
Then I'm saying to you, you cannot describe, cannot give the description of the knife the alleged second intruder possessed because there was no second intruder who entered the house.
Mina ngithi kuwena ke isizathu noma imbangela ukuthi ke lewo mmese lowo ke ungawukwazi ke ukuthi uchaze yingoba kwakungekho msolwa ke noma umuntu wesibili lapho futhi wayephethe ummese.
Engingakusho ke mina ukuthi wayekhona umuntu wesibili wayephethe ummese. Lapha ngingavele ngithi wayengekho nje umuntu ngobani. Wayekhona umuntu wesibili wayephethe ummese and uyena lo waphuma nami wangijaha.
What I can say then is that there was a second person there who was carrying a knife. Why would I then say there was no person? There was a second person, and that person went out with me and chased me.
Yeah, but you further cannot describe him, that person.
Kodwa ke umuntu ongakwazi ukuthi ungamchaza
The second intruder, my
lo
lord.
wesibili.
Manje ukuthi angikwazi ukumchaza umuntu kusho ukuthi wayengekho yini.
Does it then mean that there was no
Yes.
person if I'm unable to describe him?
Yes.
Ngibe ngikushilo ukuthi angimbonanga kahle.
When I have said that I didn't see him properly,
Shuthi wena ufuna ngichaza amanga ke manje.
then you want me to tell lies now.
Let's move on to the next line. After I've jumped, please jump that line. You see that paragraph?
Yes.
After I've jumped, jump that one, go with me to the next line, which starts with say, I saw the second suspect walking in the street and I even pointed him out to the neighbors. I couldn't observe his attire while walking in the street as it was dark.
Ngambona ke umsolo, sorry. Ngambona ke umsolo wesibili uma nkathi ehamba ke estradeni ngase ngimkhomba ke kubona omakhelwane angizange ke ngibukeke noma ngibhekeke lokho awayegqokile nkathi ehamba estradeni ngoba kwakumnyama.
Is that statement correct?
Yebo, it's correct.
Yes, it is correct.
And it is correct that it was dark in the street.
Nokuthi kwakumnyama estradeni.
Akusekumnyama phela kusebusuku.
It was already dark, it was at night.
And you couldn't see what he was wearing.
Nokuthi wayegqokeni awuzange ukubone.
Attire, uthi attire ususho the whole attire. Attire usho njalo.
When
If
you
you
refer to
understand
attire, it
attire
means
usho the
the whole.
whole
Yeah,
mina
well-
ngithe i-hoodie wayigqoka i-hoodie musuthi attire ubala nebhuluko icathulo ukuthi wayigqoka obhaqa amateku attire yonke ke le
Yeah.
I was specifically referring to the hoodie, but once it says attire, it refers to everything that he was wearing.
But firstly, I asked if this statement is correct. You remember? I read it to you. I asked if it's correct. You said it's correct.
Ngisifundile ngase ngikubuza ukuthi ngempela
It says, I couldn't observe his attire while walking in the street as it was dark. Is that correct? Is that what you said in your statement?
yes that is what I said.
yebo kuyikona ke ngakusho ukuthi angizange ngibone ke awayegqokile.
What did you mean when you were referring to the attire?
As I've said, u-attire mina ngokufunda kwami u-attire it's ubona yonke into umuntu ayigqokile, that's an attire yokugqoka yonke into. Mina I refer to i-hood ukuthi ngambone egqoka i-hood ngoba sasasendlini, so the whole attire is completely another different perspective lapho.
Okay.
When I
Angazi noma
specifically
siya on the same page yini ngalokho.
I specifically mentioned the hoodie. When once now the reference is made to the attire, it then refers to everything that he was wearing, and that is now something totally different. I don't know whether we're on the same page.
Okay, so what did you mean when you said this? Were you referring to the hood or were you referring to the rest of the clothing of that person? So that I get it from you.
ukuze ngikuthole kuwena-ke wakhuluma wena-ke ngehoodie noma wakhuluma ngakho konke awayegqokile?
I think enye into efanele si-understand ukuthi umuntu osuke kubhalisa istatement usuke kubuza yena, so umuntu uma ngibuza ngegama elithi attire mina ngizomphendula ngo-attire lo awushoyo lo obhalwe la, mina ngikaze ngimention u-attire, umuntu obengibuza la umention u-attire, so that's why ngisho ukuthi u-attire angikwazi wonke u-attire bakhe ngoba ekugcineni ngizobe sengichaza amateki ukuthi ngibuza ukuthi amateki kanjani ayimhlophe noma ayiblue noma ayenjani, so into engeke ngize ngikwazi ukuyisho le angithi, but engikukhumbulayo i-hood, so iyona into engishilo, so attire is completely something different.
We would first then have to understand with regards to the person that then took down the statement from me. The person is the one who made mention of the word attire, and in my response I then responded according to how I was asked. And because now if I stick to the word attire, you're going to ask me about the sneakers or the techies, what the color it was, the pants, and just everything. I specifically made mention of the hoodie.
So it means here you were referring to the hoodie only, not the rest of the clothing of the second intruder.
Okusho ukuthi la wena nje ngokwakho wakhuluma kuphela wena ngehoodie ungakhuluma konke awayegqokile.
Yet again, uthi attire, mina I'm referring to attire njengoba ngishilo ukuthi I couldn't observe his attire while walking in the street as it was dark. Attire,
Yeah.
that's attire yini, everything that your person is wearing. Mina manje bungosuthi yini attire yami uzosho ukuthi nayi attire kugqoka ujinsi ujino blue.
Okay, so what is it that you couldn't observe?
The attire,
I-attire lokho awayegqokile.
Including the hoodie.
the attire,
Yeah? What's attire meaning what?
attire meaning everything that is wearing.
Including the
konke
hoodie.
awayegqokile.
Attire.
You did not see because it was dark.
Awabona-ke ngokuthi kwakumnyama.
Yes, I did not see his attire because it was dark.
Yebo-ke lokho ayegqokile angizange ngikubone ngoba kwakumnyama.
There is witness who testified before this court by the name of Ntabiseng Mokete, who said he was inside the car on the same street, sitting inside. Did you see any car when you were going to Ngashe's homestead?
Kunofakazi-ke obekhona la enkantolo ekuMthabiseng igama lakhe othi wayehlezi emotweni-ke imoto yayisestradeni ngaba ngenkathi uya kwaNqashi noma ujombela kwaNqashi khona imoto owayibona eyayimi estradeni uthi uMthabiseng wayehlezi kuleyo moto yena.
Angeke ngize ngikhombe ngoba ngiyazi nemoto ukuthi yayime kuphi. Mina ukuphuma kwami ngingena ka next door, so imoto ngiyazi ukuthi yayime kuphi, but
I want
angibona
to
kamoto
recall
mina lapho.
because I don't know where specifically the car was parked. I just went out and jumped into the neighbors.
So ekubalekweni kami la
So you
ngibaleke
did
khona
not
ayikho
see.
imoto lapho.
So you did not see.
La ngibaleke khona mina ayikho imoto engayibona. Angazi ke ngithi imoto yakho Nthabiseng ngiyayipake kuphi.
Where I ran, there was no car, or I saw no car there. So I don't know where Ntabiseng's car was parked.
Okay, thank you. There was no car there. And further to that, Ntabiseng said it was not dark. It was not that dark. It was lit because there were some other, there were electricity around the houses there.
okunye ukukhulunywa uMthabiseng ke ukuthi kwangekho mnyama ngoba ke kwakukhona ke amalambu ke ayekhanyisa ke kwizindlu
So in other words, there was some light
ngokuNthabiseng ukuthi ke kwakhanya
and she could see people running.
Yes,
naye
it could
wababona
be.
abantu bebaleka. So,
It could be vele ukuthi nje mina ngithi dark ngirefera udark ukuthi kwakuyisebusuku, but at the same time futhi nabe kuthiwa kunama lights kuyaba dark futhi nabe kuthiwa ekhona ama lights but kuyaba dark endaweni emalokishini.
It could be that, as I'm saying, it was dark because I'm referring to the fact that it was during the night or it was at night. But even if yes, there are lights in the township, but even though there are lights, but it gets dark.
Okay, Mthogo, you're confusing me now. Was it dark or not dark?
Kumina it was dark.
To me, it was dark.
Thank you very much, Mthogo. Let's move on. And whilst I'm on referring you to the witness, thank you, my lord. I'm done with the two exhibits, U1 and U2. Whilst I'm still referring to the evidence of Mthabiseng Mokete, Mthabiseng, she further testified that she went to the hospital. Did you see her in the hospital?
Ngisakhuluma ngaye ke uNthabiseng ushilo ke kubufakazi bakhe ukuthi naye ke waya esibhedlela ngabe wambona yini uNthabiseng esibhedlela.
Engakusho ke ngalapho ukuthi kwayimanje uNthabiseng angimazi mina. Akazi ukuthi uba uNthabiseng angimazi nje uNthabiseng mina.
What I can say with regards to that, I don't know who Mthabiseng is. Even as I'm speaking, I just don't know who Mthabiseng is.
La ngimkhombe ngisho umkhombe uNthabiseng.
I wouldn't even be in a position to point her out.
So ngake ngize ngimbone ke esibhedlela umuntu engingamazi.
So I wouldn't see someone in hospital that I don't know.
And then Mthabiseng further testified that she heard Zandi Khumalo's voice screaming, saying that Mthabiseng, please call ambulance, and said at that time he was standing inside Khumalo's premises next to the substation.
Mthabiseng was standing inside.
No, Zandi.
Zandi.
Mthabiseng heard Zandi screaming and shouting whilst Zandi was inside Khumalo's homestead, saying
Uma saqhubeka ke kubufakazi bakho uNthabiseng uthi wamuzwa ke uZandi ke noma ezwa ke iphimbo kaZandi ke ememeza futhi ke ngaleso sikhathi leso uZandi wayemi phakathi egcekeni lakubo.
And Mthabiseng said this happened after the last gunshot was fired, and then after that he immediately saw the first person he saw, it was Zandi who came out screaming. You understand?
Akushoyo ke uNthabiseng ukuthi lokho kwenzeka ke emuva kokuthi ezwe isibhamu sesiqhuma ke okugcina ke nokuthi umuntu oqala ke awambona ke emuva kwalokho kwaba uZandi.
As you were outside, I'm taking that you were outside at that time when the last shot was fired. You were outside by Ngashe's premises. Did you see Zandi screaming? Did you hear Zandi screaming to Mthabiseng?
Ngithatha ukuthi ke nkathi ke isibhamu sesiqhuma ke siqhuma kokugcina ke ukuthi wawungaphandle ke wena ukwanqatshe kodwa ungaphandle ingabe wamuzwa yini uZandi ememeza noma ebiza kuyena ke Mthabiseng kodwa ememeza.
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi ngike ngasho ukuthi ngezwe amazwi abantu ababekumemeza bekhala kwase kuphuma uMakakheli. That's when ngaphuma ngajumpa ngabuza uMakakheli mina ukuthi kulo muntu odubulisa khona ngaphakathi. So ukuthi uZandi wayescreama noma kakubani angisikhumbulike lokho ngeke ngize ngikwazi ukukhomenta kakhulu ngakho. Shuthi Mthabiseng yena kuzosho into ayishoyo yena.
I think I did make mention of the fact that I heard people's voices or people screaming and shouting, and I then came out and I then saw Zandi's mother. I then inquired from her whether the person was still there. She told me that the person was no longer there. As to whether that was Zandi or who, that I wouldn't know. Mthabiseng said so.
Okay, from where did you hear those people screaming? From where?
Labantu wabezwa ke bememeza wabezwa bemeza kuphi?
From the streets, from
Kelly
the house?
house.
Where?
From Kelly Khumalo's
Kelly
house.
Khumalo's house.
Bememezela ke kubona kubo kulopheli.
Inside the house.
Yeah, I think it was inside coming out.
Ngicabanga ukuthi kwakungaphakathi ke kumela ngaphandle.
Okay. If it was inside coming out, did you see who came out screaming? Whether it was Zandi or Makhumalo?
ngabe wabona yini ukuthi ubani ke owaphuma ke memeza noma kwakuZandi noma uMakhumalo?
njengoba ngisho ukuthi engimkhumbulayo kakuMakakheli yena umuntu engikhumbulayo ngibona.
As I've already said that the person that I recall seeing was Kelly's mother.
Thank you. Miss Nthabiseng Muketa further testified that she was the first person to be called in hospital into the room where the deceased was lying, and she was the first person to be told about the death of the deceased.
Uqhubekile kuNthabiseng ngobufakazi bakhe wathi esibhedlela uyena umuntu oqala owabizwa ke ukuthi aye kuleli yagumbilele awaye kulona umufi, uyena umuntu oqala owatshelwa ngokushona kukamufi.
But you testified, correct me if I'm wrong, and you said Zandi and Kelly, they were called, you also then followed them into the room. And then you were told,
Kelly's mom.
Kelly's mom.
Yes.
Yes. Then
Kelly's mom.
you were called into the room. You were also told about the death of the deceased. Am I correct there?
Uzongilungisa ke uma ukuthi ngenza iphutha ke ukuthi kwabizwa ke manje ngobulungisile wena ke kwabizwa ke uMakakheli he was also called.
No, you just followed, not that you were called. You followed, you decided to follow them.
Walandela nawe ke.
Yes.
Wasulandela. Uma kwabizwa umuntu bona bafuna nje umuntu omdala wase wena yalandela ke.
Understand futhi angicommente kakhulu ngento esho Nthabiseng angimazi ukuthi ngempela ngabe unumber bakusense lapha bafuna unumber bafuna umuntu omdala for which kwaya uMakakheli from uMakakheli mina ngalandela ngangena ngafica usenzo bemboza ngamvula mina personally okusho Nthabiseng ke angeke ngize ngicommente kakhulu ngakho mina ngisho okwenzeka ukuthi babiza uMakazandi.
I'm not going to say much on what was said by Nthabiseng. I don't even know how she is to Senzo, or related she is to Senzo. I said that they were looking for an elderly person. Zandi's mother then went. I followed. When I got into that room, they were covering Senzo, and then I opened him.
But can you recall if Nthabiseng was present when the doctor conveyed the message to you in Makhumalo about the death of the deceased?
Ingabe usakhumbula yini ukuthi wayekhona Nthabiseng ngenkathi udokotela esetshela ke uMakhumalo ukuthi uSenzo akasekho?
Njengoba ngishilo ukuthi Nthabiseng angimkhumbuli ave ukukhulu ukukhumbula umuntu ongamazi angimkhumbuli.
As I've already said that I can't remember Nthabiseng. It is so difficult, so hard to remember someone you don't know.
Okay, it's fine. If you can't remember her in hospital, it's fine. Let's move on further. If you can remember, at what stage did Makhumalo arrive in hospital?
Uma kuwukuthi usakhumbula ke uMakhumalo uzofika ngasiphi isikhathi noma ninike esibhedlela?
It was ngakho kude after thina sifikile.
It was not long after we had arrived.
With whom did she arrive in hospital? If you can remember?
No, wafika ehamba nobani?
Angisakhumbula ukuthi wafika nohamba nobani ngoba vele thina sasesingaphakathi angisi ngoba sasiphuthumisa uSenzo.
I can't remember in whose company she was because we were already inside rushing Senzo.
Okay. Let's go back a little bit to the evidence of Zandi Khumalo. Inside the house now, we're going back from the hospital. Or maybe, sorry my lord, let me just cover at the hospital the questions that are at the hospital. When you were inside the room with Makhumalo, when you were told about the death of the deceased, where was Kelly Khumalo?
Ngale nkathi ke uphakathi ulandele uMakhumalo ke nitshela ukuthi uSenzo akasekho uKelly wayekuphi ngaleso sikhathi?
I think uKelly wayese reception area because ngiyakhumbula babehleli phansi nje mbamba phansi babekhalela lapho phansi, so I think wena lapha ngase reception area.
I think she was at the reception area because they were seated flat. They were set flat at the reception. That's why they were crying.
Okay. Do you know what happened to the deceased phone from the robbery incident up to the time when you moved into the hospital?
Ngabe uyazi ukuthi kwenzekani ngefoni yakhe umufi ngaso sonke leso sikhathi leso sukela ngesikhathi ke sokubanjwa inkunzi kwaze kwayisikhathi la niyakhona ke esibhedlela uyazi ukuthi ifoni
Do you
yakhe
know if it was robbed?
ukuthi yathathwa yini?
Ayi cha ngathi ayithathwanga ifoni yakhe.
No, I think it wasn't taken.
No, ngoba ngiyakhumbula ukuthi ngathi ifoni yani kuMakasenzo. Ngathi ngiyakhumbula kuMakasenzo at some point emva kwesikhathi nje. So angiboni ukuthi iyarobha.
I think I do recall that
stand corrected. But ngiyakhumbula ngathi iyaliphatha yanikeza uMakasenzo.
that it was handed over to Makasenzo.
Yes.
Okay, that it was handed over to Senzo's mother.
Sazi kodwa nini?
I stand to be corrected, but I don't know exactly when.
Okay, but that would have happened at a later stage. I'm
Yes.
just asking about the date of the incident.
Kuza ngalela langa ukuthi yathathwa yini, uma bayithatha yini laba bangena noma yarojwa yini.
Who was in possession of the deceased cell phone from the place of the shooting incident up to the hospital, if you know?
Uma kuwukuthi uyazi ukusuka lapha endlini ukuhamba ukuya esibhedlela ubani owayeyiphethe ifoni kamufi?
Hayi angazi.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
Angazi ngempela.
I really don't know.
Okay. And you testified that Kelly Khumalo refused with the ID for the deceased.
Ushilo nokuthi ke wanqaba uKelly ngeID kamufi.
Yebo wanqaba kumina.
Yes, she refused to me.
Did he tell you the reason why?
Ngabe wasisho isizathu?
Ngathi ngoba ngisho ukuthi ngaya eMalbathi ngiyofuna iID wangitshela wathi iID ngekaze anginike uzoyigcina kuyena uzolinda ubhuti kaSenzo nobaba kaSenzo kuba yibona abazoyi landa iID kubona, for which ngathi mangifika ngakustand mayifika ngakusasa ustand ofika ngolesibili after siyomove usenze eJemiston elo same identify isibhustum sakhe ngamsusa khona ngamusa kuKelly eyofuna iID.
The reason she gave me was that she was going to wait for Senzo's father and brother and to come to her and ask for the ID. Indeed, Stan arrived on the Tuesday. So when we were coming back from Jamestown, I then took Stan to Malbatin.
Nakhona futhi waqale wanqaba nezinto zaSenzo neID including ID, but ekugcineni kuba sekukhona namaphoyisa nabanye ngenze ngibasho ukuthi bawobani ke ababe wethu Senzo lento ayibhola idlala wagcina sekhiphile iID. At first she refused, but then there were police and other people that I'm not going to mention in the circle of football, but then she only took out or gave them the ID.
Okay, that was the Tuesday after the Sunday of the incident.
Yes.
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 Okay. There is evidence that a swim swap was done on the deceased cell phone. Do you know anything about that?
Kunobufakazi obuthi kwenziwa isim swap kuyena ke makhalekhukhwini wakhe umufi ngabe kukhona yini okwaziyo ngalokho.
And Colonel Stein further testified that a person who could have been able to do the SIM swap on the deceased cell phone is the person who was in possession of the deceased ID. But as a friend, I'm just asking if you have any knowledge about that.
Kodwa ke uma efakaza uKolonel Stein okuyena ke befakaza ke ngobufakazi ophathelene nama cell phones uthe umuntu owayengakwazi ukuthi akwenze lokho kwakuwumuntu ke owayephethe noma owayene ID yakhe umufi. Ngiyakubuza nje wena ke nanjengomngane mayela nje nalokho ukuthi khona yini okwaziyo ngalokho.
Ngiyaqala ukuzwa lokho.
I'm hearing it for the first time.
And kuyangithusa ke futhi ke ukuthi kwenzeka lento eyenzakalile ngasekho.
And it is shocking to me that happened in his absence or when he was no more.
Okay. But it is your evidence that the ID for the deceased was Ms. Kelly Khumalo until the Tuesday from the day.
Sorry.
Until Tuesday after the incident.
Kodwa ke kubufakazi bakho ukuthi iID yakhe umufi yayikuKelly kwaze kwashaya ulwesibili emuva kwesigameko usole kwesigameko.
Yebo kuyiqiniso lokho ngoba ngayibona kumsomluko.
Yes, it is.
Ngolesibili bemnika ngangikhona futhi.
Yes, it is true because I saw the ID on the Monday as well as on the Tuesday when she handed it over.
Okay. Let's just quickly finalize this. As a close friend of the deceased, Can you describe, do you know the nature, what is the nature of the relationship between Ms. Kelly Khumalo and the deceased?
Nanjengomuntu ke obe umngani wakhe ke umufi ungachaza I relationship ukuthi yayi kanjani ke I relationship phakathi kwakho umufi kanye naye uKelly.
At that time of the incident, around October, what was happening between Kelly and the deceased?
Ngaleso sikhathi leso sango-October kwakwenzekani phakathi kwabo babili.
Kumina kuzoba nzimana ukuthi ngikuchaze lokho ngoba manje ngizoyibuka ngelinye ihlo mina olaziyo ngicabanga nawe.
To me it's going to be difficult to explain that because I'm going to say it now in a different light which you also know.
Engingakusho nje ukuthi ke bona vele babethandana babe kwi relationship and angibambe kanjalo nje ngoba manje mengathiwa ngiyakhuluma kuzoba ngathi mhlawumbe yebo.
Let me just say that the two of them, they were in a relationship, they loved each other, so let me just hold it there because it's gonna seem as if now.
Yeah, no one will take you the other way around. But yeah, I'm going to ask this honorable court that we take a short adjournment and then we'll proceed after a short adjournment on that relationship.
All right, no problem.
Thank you, my lord.
Okay. 15 minutes.
Okay.